Hi everyone, Ashlyn here from Minister for Happiness, and welcome to this week's story time. And of course, a very Merry Christmas to you. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas so far and have enjoyed all of the prezzies and festivities and connecting with family and friends, and I hope you're healthy and well. And as always, on Sunday Story Time, I share an inspiring story with you, one for you to reflect upon and hopefully take the lessons into your life. And I thought this week it would be really appropriate, seeing as we're in the Christmas season and we're coming to the end of this year. And I think a lot of people will be happy to say goodbye to 2020, even though there have been some wonderful things that we have learned and experienced in this year. I think it has no doubt been a year where we need to finish off on a high with more lightness, love, and a lot more celebrations, and to look forward to the year to come. So here's to 2021. And this week's story is something I've taken from my own life, where I learned a very valuable lesson. And I'm hoping that by hearing this today, it will help you in preparation for any goals, visions, or dreams you want to bring into fruition in 2021. And it's really about getting clarity. And this story is a little longer than the usual weekly story, so I hope you bear with me, because the lesson in it is true and is very achievable for all of us. So if I was to take you back to about 12 years ago, I'd been in a relationship for 8 years and I was newly single, and I decided I was going to just enjoy being single before I met anybody else, which I think was the smart thing to do, because I needed to get to know myself before I was going to meet anybody else in the future that I wanted to build a life with. And after being single for a few years and really enjoying it, eventually I decided, okay, it's time to meet someone. You know when it's the time where you're like, I want to bring someone into my life. And for some of you watching this, you might be at that place right now. And I thought, okay, I'd love to meet somebody, but I don't want someone all the time. I'd been in a relationship for 8 years, didn't really want to be in anything too serious. I just wanted to meet somebody. I was ready. But I wanted somebody who I could maybe meet at the weekends or occasionally. Someone who had their own hobbies and interests and things going on in their life. So they had their life, I had mine, and we'd come together now and again. So lo and behold, after a few weeks of thinking this and getting myself ready to put myself out there, I met somebody wonderful and lovely and very nice. And we saw each other for a few weeks, and maybe once or twice a week. And after 2 or 3 months of this, I realized we weren't seeing each other anymore. And I kind of wanted to, and I could tell this person didn't. The ease of meeting once or twice a week and not making either of each other a priority seemed to suit this person. But I kind of realized, no, that wasn't for me. I might as well be on my own if I'm not going to, start building a relationship that's going somewhere. So I called it a day. And it made me think, that, okay, I was constantly telling everybody, family, friends, oh, I want to meet someone, but I don't want someone all the time. And that's what I got. So I decided to get a little bit more clear about it, and I said, okay, I really want to meet someone who is ready to maybe commit a little bit more long term. So I had that in my mind, and I worked with a girl at the time who just started seeing somebody, and she'd been married and divorced, and she thought she'd never meet anyone again, but she seemed absolutely smitten with this new guy in her life. She was so happy. She said she couldn't believe, after being married for however long it was, that she'd ever feel that way again, or even get out there and put herself out there to start dating. And she said they messaged each other, they had great banter, great fun, they got on, it was easy, they had common interests. He sent her flowers to work. She just felt really, really good when she thought about him. And as she spoke about him and told me, I was so inspired by her. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want. I want someone who's crazy about me, and I want to be crazy about someone. I want that excitement. I want to be like someone sending me flowers. I want someone who wants to spend time with me. So I put that out there, and a few months later, I ran into somebody in a bar. We got chatting. Eventually, we reached out to each other and we started dating. And it was really nice, and this was such a nice guy. He was so sweet, so kind, so caring. Lots of interests were similar, but he had his own hobbies that fascinated me as well, and this seemed like the perfect combo. And we started seeing each other, and after a few months, I noticed that he was probably just a little bit more into me than I was into him. But he did so many lovely things. He sent me flowers because it was a wet Wednesday and I was working. He'd leave little post-its around the apartment for me when he went to work in the morning if he'd stayed over, and I'd get those little notes when I got up, which was lovely. My housemate didn't like it at the time. Maybe I wouldn't blame her. But these were beautiful gestures. But it was just a bit too much for me because I knew that I didn't feel that same spark. So after a few months, I called it a day because it wouldn't have been fair to either of us. And after that relationship ended, I realized, okay, there's something missing here. I'm not getting this right. I'm getting elements of it and I'm getting what I'm asking for. So whatever's out there, the universe, life, energy, God, whatever you want to call it, something that I was projecting what I wanted out there was giving it back to me like a magnet. And I was talking to a friend of mine one day, and we were in the sauna having a chat, and she just said she was ready to meet somebody, and I said, God, I'm ready to meet somebody too, but my last 2 relationships were, they were good, but they weren't what I was looking for, and maybe I need to get clearer. And she said, yeah, me too, because I really want to meet someone. So we decided that evening that we were going to write down a list and get very clear about what we wanted in our future partner. So for anybody out there who is looking for their future partner or their future job or their future home, whatever it is, I do advise doing this, writing the list. And that's what we did. So I asked her questions about what her dream man would be like. And she gave me plenty detail. And it was an A4 page. And I filled one side of it with her dream man. And on the other side, she asked me questions that I gave her great detail about. And I learned from the previous 2 relationships what I did want and what was working, and also what I didn't want and what wasn't working, which again is part of being clear. We don't always have to beat ourselves up about making mistakes. We just have to adapt and learn and figure out what didn't work and then look for what we do want that will work. And that's what we did. And nothing happened for quite a while. It wasn't a few weeks, it wasn't a few months. In fact, I think it was close on a year. And one evening, I realised that a guy I'd gotten to know through a sequence of events in my work and going to a local bar, I had feelings for him. And I was having a drink with the same friend who wrote the list with me, and I told her, you know what, I'm going to go out with that guy. And eventually, as time went on, we got to know each other, and slow and steady. He didn't seem too eager. I thought he wasn't interested, but he was just playing it cool. Eventually, we started dating. And it was so easy. It became like probably the easiest relationship I've ever had. And I spoke with my friend after a few months of dating this guy, Brian. And I said, this is probably the best relationship I've ever had. I never thought I would have anyone in my life like this. And my friend was also seeing a guy at the time. And she felt the same way. And in the moment in that conversation, we said, oh my God, what about the list we wrote? Probably well over a year ago, and we'd both forgotten completely. So I dug out the list and the 2 of us read over it, and lo and behold, pretty much everything on her list was exactly the man that she was now seeing. Her dream man, Patrick, had was completely like the guy on the list, and on my list it was the same. And we had written things on this list that were quite specific, that were very detailed, that you wouldn't just say, oh, it's a coincidence. It was intentional. And we both had manifested our dream men. And again, it didn't happen overnight. It took a little while. Now, my friend Mary married her dream man from the page, her magic man from the page, and they are happily married now for over 2 years and have a little boy. And I recently this year, for those of you who don't know, married my dream man, Brian, and we've been happily married now for 4 months. So I hope this long story teaches you something this week about the clearer we get with what we want, the more likely we are to achieve it. Now, I was clear in the other situations too, but I was very narrow in what I wanted. The first relationship was I didn't want someone all the time. That's what I got. The second relationship, I wanted someone who was mad about me, but I forgot to say that I had to feel the same way and it had to be a mutual thing. I was attracting the things I wanted, but when I got that bit of clarity, I got exactly what I needed and wanted more than I'd even imagined. Before I met Brian, I never even wanted to get married. So that speaks volumes. So I hope you like this week's long story, and because it's Christmas, it's an extra bonus Christmas story. I hope it inspires you, and I hope you take this lesson into your life. And please like and share as always, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And get your lists now ready for 2021. Your list of dreams, desires, goals, aspirations, and get clear. And until next week, stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, and very Merry Christmas. Bye.